This is an open letter to my pink skin friends. Mostly, my pink skin friend in North America and Europe, the Northern Hemisphere, and Australia and New Zealand and whatever other land that my pink skin friends have conquered throughout the ages, throughout the last 500 years. Anyway, here's the thing, my pink skin brothers and sisters. I was listening to, not listening, I was reading Nikki Haley's Twitter account, and if it was a normal person's account, probably would have been flagged as, hateful, and probably removed or bothered as being a hateful page. But then with hateful tweets, but then no, not in case of Miss Haley. And I was, for example, things like, China is the most dangerous threat to us in this century. Threat? If you're doing you and they're doing them, I'm not sure what is the threat here. Threat to your dominance? Then please complete the goddamn sentence. Threat to your dominance, Miss Haley. You have to complete the sentence. Biggest threat to us? Who's us? Joe Homeless that I pass by every day. He's us. Is he? Is it? He's never been us. Who's this us that China is a threat to? Please refine your sentences. Who's us? Why is it a threat? If they're doing them over there and we are doing us here, I'm not sure which part of it is a threat. Whichever one works harder, makes more, earns more, and maybe helps others instead of, bombing the shit out of them. Because they're not doing it our way. They want to do it their way, so we're gonna bomb the motherfuckers. Then the next tweet I read was, Hamas, no pause, no ceasefire. Israel must be able to eliminate Hamas. Fine, eliminate Hamas. Eliminate Hamas, eliminate Hamas. Just don't eliminate Hamas. But the point is this. That's Hamas and is Hezbollah this and Hezbollah that fuck is part of the flora and fauna of the fucking shithole. These are those people's children who join these groups with the encouragement of their families. Because it's a cause. It's like, for those who might think the way Miss Haley does, look at it this way. An alien race from another planet comes and invades Earth. The Earthlings are squeezed in small areas called camps. Not refugee, just camps, because everybody knows those are Earthlings. They have nowhere else to go. This is their home. But they're put in camps. You see, they have nowhere else to go, but because that is their home. You got that sentence? The same thing can be said about the brown skins of Palestine as compared to the inhabitants of Israel. Inhabitants of Israel are 90% Europeans. Europeans, that means people who belong to Europe. And then some of these people moved to North America, Europeans. So some of these people also belong to North America. So 90% of inhabitants of Israel are people who belong to, Europe or North America. 90%. So it's an European colony, which is pink skin. So it's a pink skin colony in brown skin land, folks, you do understand in North America they didn't there was a Oklahoma massacre, Tosca massacre, or Oklahoma massacre. It was a town purely inhabited by black people, so black people in that town were, were doing well. Some of them at least were the rich of the society. The white people in North America went and burned their town down, sort of like, fuck you. You can't be a successful black island in the center of a sea of white people. You can't be a successful black island in the sea of white people. The sea of white people being all the white cities and towns around that black, prosperous, small town. They couldn't see because it just, it's how you primates are. So, but you have put same comparison, a successful European country, successful by means of donations of all the money that is going there from Europe and North America. A lot of that success is because of all the donations, because it creates incentive to succeed with a lot of good management, which they have had. But the point is this: the money, the investment has to be there. So North Americans and Europeans have invested heavily in Israel for it to succeed. Now you have a successful island in a sea, in an Arab neighborhood, in a sea of Arab, Muslim identity, a sea of European Jewish identities, an island of European Jewish identity, successful European Jewish identity, successful pink skin European Jewish identity, in the middle of poor brown skin Muslim Asians. So you're not going to look for conflict there? You don't think it's going to be a very conflict prone idea. I mean, if you have a secular state over there, the Muslim neighborhood may put up with a secular state, just like Lebanon was a fucking really secular state just to the north before the establishment of Israel. Lebanon was a very successful secular state for a long time. Well, under the British jurisdiction, after the British jurisdiction, before the British jurisdiction. But then, so that's the best you can hope for in the Arab Muslim neighborhood, is that you have a secular shop. In other words, a Muslim neighborhood may accept a white shop. Black neighborhood may accept a white shop in their neighborhood, but as long as that white shop doesn't have a swastika as part of their decor. And this is the situation in the Middle East. You have basically a very different group of people from Europe with a very specific religion that, although it gets its roots from there, but it's obviously a lot of white people follow that religion. So you have this group of people from Europe getting on ships and coming down in the corner of Asia and declaring themselves kings, not just immigrating and becoming part of the flora and fauna, part of the native flora and fauna. No. Because there are a lot of Jewish people over there in Palestine that have become part of flora and fauna, part of the native flora and fauna of Palestine. They've been living there for generations, apparently. And those are Palestinian Jewish folks. Anybody never really bothered them. except that Israel now is trying to recruit them to go fight in their war with the natives, and these guys are saying that fuck you. I don't have any problems with the natives of this land. I don't want to colonize them. I don't want to conquer them. I'm just here doing my life, and have been, as a Jewish person in Palestine, I've been living my life for generations, multiple generations, and I never saw the need to try to eradicate the native flora and fauna. But now Israel is saying that no, this land is ours, and just like we eradicated the unwanted trees and the unwanted flowers and unwanted insects, now we are going to eradicate the unwanted humans. The brown skins are unwanted in this land, so we're going to push them in the corner and then try to eradicate them. Salute. Here's the thing. Folks, I have a bigger point to make, that I'm going to apologize beforehand to the ladies before I make this point. I'm very sorry. Here is to you ladies. I'm going to insult you here a little. But I mean well. I'm going to insult you, but I mean well. Here's the thing, ladies. Dear woman, you do great in the family. You do great in the family. You do excellent job as mothers, if you're persuaded to. And in your part in a family, you function very well, because you're always the scared one of the family, so you caution your children, your husband. You always, think ahead in terms of family needs, necessities and wants, and needs and wants, and you try to balance that, and we all appreciate that. So, dear ladies, we love you. But I don't think women should be allowed in the position of leadership, in position of government. I think women, and I'm not religious, I don't follow, well, I can't. The religion that I follow is not very prejudicial against women, more or less. All these old religions have some prejudice against women, so that goes with the, with the salt of it. That, it's what it is. It's culturally, men have been afraid of women, so in their literature, culturally, men didn't appreciate women much, in that sense that they were always, troubled by women. But the point is this: women should not go beyond raising the next generation, and that's the most important job. Raising the next generation is the most important job. So I would just, not understand why women would be, would think that such a job, that is raising the next generation, is not important enough to devote your life to. Raising the next generation properly, not the shit you're putting out. Raising the next generation, the shit you're putting out currently. Raising the next generation properly, well, needs a lot of devotion, much more than it's getting right now from the human inhabitants of Earth. Raising the next generation in order to prevent these motherfuckers turning into maniacs and start killing each other. That's a skill. That's a very important job. So you don't want maniacs. You want less maniacs in the society. So in order to not raise maniacs, it takes a lot of effort in terms of passing, you know, values from one generation to the next generation. One of those values being value of life. So you haven't been doing that well. You know, from the leaders are so, you know, nonchalant about spilling other humans' blood because, you know, we're taking revenge. What else? Or we are taking avenge, or we are taking revenge. Here is the thing, folks. You're so nonchalant about killing each other because you haven't been raised properly. And you haven't been raised properly because your mothers have been doing too much outside of the family and outside of their main objective on this planet, which is to, you know, try to advance the race by raising the next generation better. So you have been told that you have to go and work for the Walton family, and you have to go for the Bezos family, and you have to go work for the Buffett family, and you have been told you have to go work for them, their company, the companies that they own at the top. And all, not just men, also women should join the workforce and go work for these guys. And apparently women have been persuaded. Now their kids are being are being raised by, you know, a bunch of young teachers in primary schools who, you know, themselves are very ignorant of life. So instead of each mother trying to raise their child as best they can and pass on generational information, generation culture, values, instead of that, you just bunch up 20, 30, 40 little kids into one classroom and you put one 22-year-old in charge. And for one whole year, these 20, 30 people, little people, have to learn from one half-educated, half-witted teacher with basically no qualities, no acceptable qualities. This one person or two person who are teaching these kids, three person who are teaching these kids, they themselves are, because of their age and lack of education, are very ignorant of life. These are going to be teaching 20 and 30 of these little ones at a time. Yeah, that's going to work out well. So here's the thing, folks. Here's the thing, folks. I don't think women should be in positions of power in the society. First of all, because they're very good at getting there. Because they're very good at getting to these offices in a democracy, they shouldn't be allowed. For one thing, first of all, why I say women are very good at, if they're allowed to participate in democracy, women can get to high offices quite easily, for the same reason as strip clubs are very successful. You know, strip club now or belly dance cafe 1,000 years ago in the Middle East. Women have been successful. These clubs, these strip clubs and titty bars are very successful, have always been successful, because women, it's a routine thing for women to pander to men. It's comes very naturally for women to pander to men, pander to people in general, especially to men, for the right incentive. For money, they will, you know, give you a lap dance, although they may, you know, not care for you. because that's they're very comfortable with that. That is pandering. That is pandering to the individual, in this case men. And women have been very good at it. They love to pander. That's part of their nature. Pandering to kids is one thing, but if your nature is pandering as a mother because you pander to kids, but then if you take that pandering nature, you put it in the office, you pander to the boss. If you take that pandering nature, you put it in the titty bar, it dances for you. And and if you take that pandering nature and make it a politician, makes the best panderer ever. A woman is a great panderer. Somebody who panders, who rubs you the right way, the way you like it. That's pandering. Approving you, telling you you're right. Whatever bullshit that comes out of your mouth is right. A mother doing that to the kid, that's cute. Yeah, the mother panders to her kid, although the kid is not worth a penny, but the mother is pandering because that's her job. That's part of who her personality is. But so pandering, but in short, pandering becomes natural, is very natural to women. They will pander to the lowest common denominator with no trace of integrity whatsoever, all day long. Women will pander to the lowest common denominator all day long without breaking a sweat, because that's her pandering is part of their nature as a mother. Do you want that quality in a politician? Do you want that pandering quality in a politician? And that's the downfall of democracy. The downfall of democracy is the idea is great, just like communism. The idea is great, but it doesn't work, democracy, because you start after every revolution. You start with a group of people who the founding fathers of the United States were not panderers, because if they were panderers to the lowest common denominator, they would have pandered to the British king and call it a day and get their pockets full of money. So the founding fathers of the United States were not pandering. They never pandered in their life. They wanted independence for their people, especially because they were getting abused by the British. So because they were getting abused by the British, they wanted freedom for their people. Isn't that what the fucking Palestinian shitheads are doing over there? They want independence for their people. It's sort of like, no, when I do it, I'm fighting for freedom. But when those motherfuckers do it, that's terrorism. Fuckers. So the problem with women in high positions, high elected positions, is that they're great at getting there because they're good at pandering. Yes, because of the prejudice of men towards women up to this point, and prejudice of many women towards women up to this point, you haven't had few women. You have had very few women in top positions, and I think that's a good thing.
Tired of hearing
Here's the thing: the problem with too much pandering is that, and women who are born panderers. I mean, you want to know pandering? If the woman thinks you have money, just look at her. Her smile widens and her knees turn into jello, and if you tell her you're single, she gets on her back. If you have money, a woman, or if you give off the perception of money, women from a distance away, their knees turn into jello, and their smile widens and their eyes start laughing. That's pandering. You want such a people with this. They have this attitude towards money, and then they are great at pandering. So if I mean, Jeff Bezos loves nothing better than a woman or a man with a woman's personality in the highest offices of the land, because Jeff Bezos can buy their body and soul. And who are, good panderers, and their knees gets very weak when they believe there is money involved? Women. So Jeff Bezos loves a woman leader. All the women leaders. Jeff Bezos loves them because body and soul, they're available for sale. Because women are panderers. For their objective, they're willing to pander. In the strip club, women are willing to dance naked to get their objective, which is money. Pandering. Doing as your customer wants. In general, women, you see the same pandering personality women show in offices. That's why women make great managers, because they're always willing to say yes to the boss. Women make great managers. Women make great soldiers. They're always willing to say yes to the boss. Women are the least critical thinkers. If by race we divide between, we say there are men and women produce a lot less critical thinkers than men do. Because by nature, women follow the crowd. That's who they are, because there is security in the crowd. That's why the fish form what shoals, I believe they call them shoals, groups, they shells or shoals. They move in groups because there is security in group mentality, in group movement. There is security inside the group. There is security. So women are more inclined to follow the crowd. So you have a personality who likes to follow the crowd as a woman, because there is security in the crowd. Then you have a pandering personality because she's a mother. So follow the crowd and pander makes a great democratic politician. But the question is the crowd right? Is the media who is manipulating the crowd into thinking one way or another, is the media can be trusted? Can the media be trusted? Because the crowd, the common man, the masses have asses for the brain, because of their lack of information, lack of knowledge, lack of intellect, lack of curiousness. The masses make great asses, and these media are literally forming their mind. TV and radio, these shows, these news shows. It's like it's a fucking theater every night. These news shows with a lot of opinions and a lot of, tight skirts and titties up to the top, up to the chin. They're great shows, Broadway shows. Each one, I mean, every night, Fox News and, this news and that news and MSNBC, they all have to get a prize every night in terms of producing a show, a 24-hour show and tell. So these guys are forming the minds of the masses who already have asses in their mind. And now you have a leader who's in nature, she is a panderer by nature because she's a mother, and she follows the crowd. She's scared, she follows the crowd all the time, doesn't do much critical thinking, doesn't want to do much critical thinking, because women believe the crowds go the right way. The crowds don't go the right way, just like a school of fish don't go the right way all the time. But the only security that comes from being in a school of fish, one fish in a school of fish, is the safety of numbers. But, in a nuclear war, your numbers are not going to be your strongest suit. So my belief is women make bad leaders. They should not be allowed to participate in politics, or in high office, or even in low office, or even in factories and farms. And women should be allowed to uh, to fully engage with their children and participate in raising them fully. Children should go to school for 3 4 hours a day. Mandatory. Every child should go to school for 3 4 hours a day just to pick up on the social cues. But the rest of the time, the mother's life should be devoted to raising the children of her own children, her neighbor's children, her neighborhood's children. Women, children, go back to what the fuck you were doing. Sitting in parks, talking and watching over your children. That's what women do best. That's what women should go back to. Talking between yourself, raising your level, your knowledge of your surroundings, reading, talking between yourself and watching over your kids. That's what women used to do for ages in parks. They should go back to that. No factories for women, no offices for women. You don't need to suck the boss's cock. None of that. Women back to raising the next generation so you don't raise a bunch of thieves and murderers. And one man has to be able to, make enough money to afford the family. And now, if the government needs to get involved, pay for these families, pay for these mothers until to stay at home, pay for the mothers to stay at home, raise their fucking family. Putting women in high offices, women are weak. They pander, they are not critical thinker by nature. They like to follow the crowds, they don't lead the crowds, they follow crowds, they become part of the crowd. That's why fashion is marketed most importantly towards women and children, because apparently they're not working with a full brain, and they like to wear the same thing as the crowd is wearing. Therefore, fashion here. From now on, wear your skirt like this, and tomorrow wear your panties like that. This is women. This kind of mentality is not good as a leader. You don't want this kind of mentality in your offices, in your leadership, in your management, in your high offices, in your low offices. Outside the home, pandering outside the home is a cause for trouble. Pandering outside the home. The only people you should really pander to are your children. End of story. Mothers are good at that. The only thing they should pander to is their children. Gives their children a sense of, existence. Gives their children a sense of accomplishment, and gives their children a sense of being unique, and a lot of good that pandering to children does. But pandering to adults as a politician will do a lot of damage. A lot. Because masses don't think, and the media is controlling them. The media are controlling the masses, and the masses don't think. They just repeat whatever they heard in the media, and they think that's exactly what it is. And the politician who panders by nature will follow the crowd to the gates of hell, because that's where the crowd is going, because that's where the media is pointing to. And the media is pointing to because apparently there's more money in war than there is in peace. More money in conquering more land than there is in peace. I don't think women should belong outside the house, the outside of their families. I think women should be devoted in raising their children and keeping their family happy and healthy, and most importantly, teach values to their children at home. There's no need for my wife to go and suck up to her boss in her office, in his office. There's no reason for my wife or my sister or my mother to have to go suck up to a boss in his office in order to get a paycheck. There's no need for that. This is disaster, and my children are being taught in schools by a 22-year-old, 23-year-old who doesn't know her own ass from this hole in the ground. And then you ask why the children, why the mass shootings and all these wars and the mass shooting. Who the fuck is raising your kids? The 22-year-old and the TV. And Mr. Quentin Tarantino. The 22-year-old and Mr. Quentin Tarantino are raising your kids. Because Jeff Bezos wants you in his office on your knees begging for a paycheck as a mother.